We already discussed it before, but one-hit KO assassinations are back, and in my 6-hour play session I was able to toy around with this system a couple of times, and now we got some extra info and footage of how this works, and how you can basically skip a whole boss fight if you want. I really like that, and in this video I want to take a look at other things you can do as the assassin playstyle, because there are quite a lot of possibilities, and there are also some sort of assassin activities that are back in this game. So a like on the video would be super appreciated, and let's go. A quick reminder that I'm doing a Ultimate Edition giveaway for Watch Dogs Legion, Far Cry 6 or Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and you can enter that giveaway via the link in the pinned comment. You have to be a subscriber of the channel as well if you want to participate, and I'll reach out to the winner via the email. Almost every enemy in my Valhalla play session died from one hit of the Hidden Blade. In that way it really felt more like Origins compared to Odyssey, where in Odyssey even in the early game you can have some trouble killing enemies with one Assassinate. But there are some exceptions in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. If you saw my raw assassin gameplay that I will also link to at the end of this video, then you might have seen a sort of quick time event show up when I tried to assassinate this berserker, for example, who was sleeping. Thanks to his health bar, you see that a regular assassinate would not be enough to take him out. I already had a lot of yellow gear in this demo, and yellow stands for Raven, so that is the assassin playstyle. You also have Bear, that is red, that is for regular melee combat, and Wolf is blue for ranged. And I would imagine that wearing items of one particular color increases the damage of that playstyle. But you also have a very in-depth skill menu with passive stat increases and also passive abilities. And here I, for example, found the yellow stealth training dot that increased my stealth attack damage for like everything. So if you follow the yellow path in the skill menu, then you will more easily be able to take out enemies with one hit of the Hidden Blade. But if you don't have enough damage at the moment, then you will have this quick time event show up where you need to hit the assassinate button when like the circle is in the highlighted area, and then you perform a one-hit KO strike. In this example you see me fail. I lured this enemy in a bush with a whistle, but I did not know it was like a tough guy, and this was the first time I saw this system, so I did not know what to do. But even when you fail, you will still do the regular assassinate damage, so you will still have this huge head start, but have to then finish the enemy off via another way. So in this case I threw an axe with the Axe Fury skill, and I think I only threw one because there was just one enemy, and then I finished the enemy off with the Kick of Tear. And then a stomp that you can do when the enemy is on the ground. So this leader gave me an item that I can use to upgrade my settlement, so it was still worth it to take him out. But again, if I performed the one-hit assassinate, then he would die instantly. And this is also how you can kill main bosses that are otherwise like this huge encounter. If you watched my hands-on impressions, and totally do so if you haven't already, I will also leave a link to that in the pinned comment, then you know that at one point in the demo there was this assault where you had to use a battering ram to open gates that would then in the end lead you to a boss fight with Root, who captured King Oswald, who you wanted to save. So after the cutscene you could just go straight towards Root and then start this pretty cool boss fight where you also had to fight his wolf companion. But I now saw in the hands-on impressions from Skill Up and also in the video from Prestige is Key, and I will leave links to them in the video description, that they did it another way. You can namely use the lift to get higher up and then climb the tower to get above Root, and well, in the skill up footage we see him then try to do the one-hit assassinate but fail, still getting some sort of a head start. But in the Prestige is Key footage we see that thanks to the successful quick time event, the health bar of Root immediately disappears. So curious if we then only have to fight the wolf or just immediately succeed. Like personally, I would not want to skip boss fights like this because I really enjoy them, but it's cool that you can do stuff like that. And good to note is that you need to learn the advanced assassination ability first in the yellow skill line before you can do this quick time event and one-hit KO an enemy. Another really amazing tactic you can do is use the Thorn of Slumber ranged ability. This will namely put the enemy to sleep instantly when hit by the arrow, and then you can run up to them and assassinate them as well. Sometimes you push the enemy on the ground and finish them off that way, but I also had times where I would run towards the enemy and then basically jump into the air to finish them off, and I really love that animation. So yes, you could compare it to the sleeping dart from Origins, only this should have a higher range because you can actually use it with a bow. Maybe a little overpowered, because you can also use this on high-end enemies, like here we see the final boss of the church raid, and I just shoot the Thorn of Slumber, run up to him, get the one-hit KO assassinate right, and bam! While normally this boss can take way more damage, so you're basically skipping a whole fight. There's also a chain assassinate skill in the game that is also comparable to what we saw in Origins. So then you assassinate someone and then throw an axe to a nearby target. And I like how the camera then follows the axe as it hits the enemy. But we can now also use our cloak to simply sneak into areas. In the deep dive trailer we got a look at social stealth for the first time, that is of course returning, and I wasn't able to try this out in the PlayStation myself, so I think it's likely exclusive to some of the more crowded cities. And that of course makes sense as you want to blend in with the crowds. By the way, a few interesting things from this footage. One is that you can offer a hobo a drink, as you see right here. And also that there is like a prompt for blending in with the crowd that now has an exclamation mark in front of it. Likely something that will change later on. No, but it will be fun to play with this for sure. Doing random like activities as well while waiting around and scouting the area. And this kind of looks like things you would also do in the Discovery Tour. You see then other NPCs perform these tasks and can then do them yourself as well. So maybe this hints at the return of that mode. In the larger cities we will also have more options to use the parkour. Darby, the narrative director, now confirmed on Twitter. But don't expect this massive jump from Origins and Odyssey. Like, there are just more ways to use the parkour that we already saw in those games. We did see in the 30-minute gameplay demo that Ubisoft released that we can chase secret flying papers that will kind of test our parkour skills, and those should be like tattoo images. So maybe by collecting them we can use those tattoos on our character. And this should just be one of the many secrets that you can find in the world. Not really a secret, but another interesting and really Assassin's Creed-like activity is the Animus Anomaly. So this was the only thing that I could not show, but I can show the area where the activity takes place. And here you already see some glitches, and I thought it was pretty cool to see that, and you can just stumble upon this out of nowhere. And then you want to interact with this object, and again I can't show you that, but when you do, Layla will appear. And she changed quite a lot. She looks super tired now, a little bit older, and that totally sparked my interest, like what has become of her. We of course know that the story will take place after Atlantis Episode 3. We hear her talk to Rebecca, which is interesting. And for the activity you have to climb AR blocks and get to the top of the tower. It's completely different from other puzzles in the game. It was a pretty fun activity and something that also really blends the modern day together with the rest of the gameplay. And as now reported by the Codex, Darby also confirmed that there will be a playable present day outside of the Animus. And there will be the option to leave the Animus from a menu option. And right now in the demo, when using that Animus option, I could change between male and female Eivor, which is of course also noteworthy. We can walk and swing our weapons around in loading screens that of course appear when you fast travel or after you've died. And now they also confirmed that confessions and memory corridor sequences will be back in Valhalla. I also sadly could not experience this, but that was simply because I did not have like a specific target to hunt down or anything. So basically things that were in Origins but not in Odyssey have returned in Valhalla, with extra things added and also some elements from the older games. Also, killing a lot of civilians will desynchronize you, as we see in this image as shared by Assassin's Creed YouTuber LaserZHD. And another big thing is of course Odin's Sight, that works a lot like the eagle vision from the previous games. We cannot easily tag enemies with our bird anymore, so we have to use this awesome pulse to scout the area. And I used it a lot in my raw assassin gameplay with no commentary. That is up on the channel right now, and you can watch it by clicking on the screen. Totally subscribe for way more Valhalla content. Again, my hands-on impressions are also up. You find a link to that in the pinned comment. For now, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.